Good evening and welcome to the Monday, July 22nd meeting of the Green Bay Plan Commission. We'll start with a roll call. Chair Lisa Hanson, present. Vice Chair Jacob Miller. Is he excused? Okay. Alder Hutchinson.
Present.
Oh my gosh, let me look at my sheet. I thought it was. Commissioner Darius Daniels.
Present.
Commissioner Ken Ravinsky.
Present.
Commissioner Emma Fullwilder. Present. And Commissioner Kelsey Lutzow is also excused. Moving on to approval of the agenda.
And Madam Chair, if I can make announcement items for 158 North Maple, which is items E9 and E10, and also for Frank Street, which is items E15 and E16. Both have been withdrawn by the applicants.
15 and 16,
Yep.
and 9 and 10?
And 9 and 10.
So do we need to amend that then for the, or when we get to those items?
You could amend it now by removing them if you want, with a
Okay.
motion in a second, or, I mean, there's nothing to
That
talk
would be
about,
easy.
so.
That
Make
would
the
be easy.
motion to remove items 9, 10, and 15 and 16 from the agenda.
Second.
The motion by Commissioner Ravinsky, second by Commissioner Daniels. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so then, those are just gone.
Do we have to approve the amended agenda?
Yes. Is that a motion?
Yeah,
Second.
move to approve the amended agenda.
We've got a motion by Alder Hutchinson, a second by Commissioner Ravinsky. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then moving on to approval of minutes. Approval of the minutes from the Monday, June 17th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion by Commissioner Ravinsky, second by Alder Hutchinson. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, and then moving on to regular business. And item number 1 is a public hearing. And this public hearing has been posted, properly posted, and public notification has been published in the Press Gazette. The Plan Commission is interested in hearing public comments on the subject agenda items. We invite your comments and ask that after your name has been called, you state your address, whether you represent a group or association, whether you favor, oppose, or only providing information in this matter, and your comments or concerns. We also ask that you confine your testimony to facts related to the proposal at hand and avoid repetitive testimony. City staff will provide a presentation during the public hearing, and questions raised by the public may be asked, but they will not be answered by staff until the upcoming actionable item. You must be recognized by the Plan Commission in order to speak, and please address your comments to the chair. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. We will now open the public hearing on item number 1. Public hearing on a request for a conditional use permit to construct a 2-family residential building in an office residential district at 1308 East Walnut Street. David Erickson of NeighborWorks Green Bay applicant, City of Green Bay Redevelopment Authority property owner.
Thank you, Chair. So the property you're looking at is at the corner of East Walnut and Irwin. The southeast corner is a vacant lot. Next, please. The applicant is looking to put a 2-family home in an OR district that requires a CUP to move forward. So the property right now, as far as the future land use, is low-density residential, duplexes within that mold. Next. And this is the zoning for the property. OR, it's surrounded by OR, and in the low-density realm, it's surrounded by low-density. Next. So this is your view at the intersection itself, looking to the southeast. This parcel in the past used to be 2 parcels. It was then combined into one, and it has stayed this way. Next. So what has been proposed to staff is to place a 2-family home on this property. There was some back and forth as far as seeing could the site itself support it. As noted, it was 2 separate lots in the past, so it can support homes on it. But that said, the property itself does meet the bulk requirements as far as what they've shown in the conceptual site plan. You're not reviewing the conceptual site plan, but it does end up fitting for the area. The neighborhood itself is a mixture of single and 2-story homes. There's also a sprinkling of 2-family homes in the neighborhood as well. We're reviewing a CUP. We do look at 44-83 subsection E for the 7 standards of a CUP, and staff did not find any issues that stood out with this. As noted, the parcel itself is owned by the RDA, and it's been in front of the RDA in the past for their preliminary approvals, that's then we've now reached this step in the process.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so now with this public hearing, we're looking to hear from anyone who would like to speak on this item. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item? Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item? Let the record reflect that no one came forward, and this public hearing is now closed. Moving on to the corresponding actionable item, item number 2. Consideration with possible action on a request for conditional use permit to construct a 2-family residential building in an office residential district at 1308 East Walnut Street. David Erickson of NeighborWorks Green Bay applicant and City of Green Bay Redevelopment Authority property owner.
Thank you. So the applicant is here if you happen to have any questions. But as noted, when looking at the conceptual plan for the site, we're looking, does this make sense in the context of the neighborhood itself as far as form and function? And it does. This type of use would work out well. There's sufficient spacing on the site itself to make a use like this go. So with that in mind, staff does recommend approval of the CUP and have in place any further conditions on this besides meeting typical city code.
Thought it was thoughtful how they put they each had their own driveway up, you have 2 different sides, so.
Right, and they could do something different in theory, but that
Right.
said, it does work
It's
out pretty
conceptual,
well.
right, I
Yes.
understand, but it
Yep.
just, it seemed, and it fits right in the neighborhood. I drove to Joanne's twice today, so I went past that lot twice, and I'm like, oh, I see that sign, I know that's on my agenda. But it fits right in the neighborhood. I mean, those townhomes just all went up, and
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And a motion by Commissioner Ravinsky, second by Commissioner Fullwilder. Any further discussion? All right, we'll go ahead with the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and then that will move forward then to City Council August.
July 30th.
Oh, okay.
July 30th, yep.
Well, I guess there's still another week in this month. It feels almost done already. All right, July 30th. All right, then moving on to item number 3, which is another public hearing. And this public hearing has been properly posted and public notification has been published in the Press Times or Press Gazette. The Plan Commission is interested in hearing public comments on the subject agenda items, and we invite your comments and ask that after your name has been called, you state your address, whether you represent your group or association, and whether you favor, oppose, or provide any information. We ask that you confine your testimony to facts related to the proposal at hand and avoid repetitive testimony. City staff will give a presentation, and questions may be asked, but they will not be answered until the upcoming actionable item. To speak during this public hearing, oh, sorry, that is a completely different sentence. You must be recognized by the Plan Commission in order to speak, and please address your comments to the chair. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and we will now open the public hearing on item number 3. Public hearing on a request for a conditional use permit to construct a covered porch in the front yard setback in a low-density residential district at 1225 Oregon Street, submitted by Douglas Dofer, property owner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, taking care of this one tonight. So as you had mentioned, this is a conditional use permit. We allow covered porches to go into the front yard setback with a conditional use permit. This particular covered porch would extend 6 feet into the setback. Just kind of a overall shot. The future land use is single, low-density residential all around it. And then for zoning, it corresponds to that, of course, as low-density residential. It is pretty much surrounded by single-family homes. There is a 2-family across the street. So this picture here on the screen is just to kind of show that in this particular neighborhood, you'll kind of notice that all of the homes generally have the front setback, same front setback. And we're particularly looking on the south side. The subject parcel is outlined in red, and you can kind of see as you go along the street that there isn't much leeway. So Mr. Dover's, front yard setback is at 29.5 feet. The average comes out to be 30 feet. So there's just about a half-foot difference. So he's going to be extending, 6 feet north into that area. Let's see here. He is doing a number of renovations to the facade of the home. He's going to be redoing all the windows, the front door. The siding is all getting replaced, so the color's changing. He might have information for that. He's also adding brick to the bottom of the home. One of the conditions that we talk about is just to make sure that we would like to see that, however the covered front porch may look, that it is consistent with the overall look of the improvements that get put there. So there are the 7 criteria for conditional use permit to apply, or that have to be met in order to be granted this CUP. This is a rendering of what it would look like. He's not changing roof lines. There really isn't a lot that's going to be done to it. There aren't plans for railings at this time. So it's going to pretty much be at grade. There isn't much of a step in the front of the house to begin with. And that is all. I did get a comment in support from the neighbor, but I can bring that up during the public hearing.
Okay. I guess what is that comment then?
Oh, that she
public-
supports.
Oh, okay.
Probably read her name.
Oh, I can do that right now. I didn't know if I should, okay, I guess we are in the public hearing, sorry. So I got a comment from Katie Lemieux Espinoza. She says, hello all, I live next door, 1231 to the property referenced in this permit. Neither my husband or I can attend the Zoom meeting tonight, but wanted to submit our comments on the proposed change. We support our neighbor's plans for adding a 6 by 22 foot porch to the front of his home. We have no doubt it will improve the curb appeal of this house and increase its property value. We love to see homeowners in this neighborhood cared for and make investments in their homes. Thank you for soliciting our feedback. Katie Lemieux Espinoza and David Espinoza.
All right, so at this public hearing, we're looking to hear from anyone who would like to speak on this item. Please state your name and address for the record.
David O'Neill, 1221 Oregon Street. I live on the other side of Doug. Real quick and easy. I definitely support the changing that Doug is looking to do to his house. I think it's going to look awesome. I think it's going to help improve the neighborhood as well. So yeah, I definitely support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
I am the petitioner, Doug Hill from 1225 Oregon Street. As you can see, my house is pretty plain looking. It's got the 50 siding on it. It's time to update, so we're going to re-side it, put new doors on it, and I feel that a porch, little front porch, would just enhance the look of it, but because of where it sits, it encroaches on the setback. So again, we're not going to change the roof lines. We're going to extend the current roof line out to cover it, and then I'll have a little shaded spot to sit and read my paper. So any questions any members have, I'd be happy to entertain them.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
One other thing that I would like to mention is that there really aren't any other covered front porches in this neighborhood. So he would be the first to go that route.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Let the record reflect that no one came forward and this public hearing is now closed. Moving on to the corresponding actionable item, item number 4, consideration with possible action on a request for a conditional use permit to construct a covered porch in the front yard setback in a low-density residential district at 1225 Oregon Street, submitted by Douglas Dofer, property owner.
So our recommendation is to approve it with 3 conditions. All materials and architectural details shall be consistent with the home as determined by the zoning administrator at the time of site plan review. 2, site plan approval by the Office of Community and Economic Development. And 3, compliance with all other regulations of the Green Bay Municipal Code.
Okay. Now, mentioned about this being the first house. Are we concerned that this might be a trend? I mean, it could be a good trend, but.
A little bit, yes, but when we review the conditions for a CUP, there really isn't anything in there. So like the first one is the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the conditional use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare. Don't really feel that the covered porch would endanger public health, safety, or welfare. Two, the establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding properties for uses permitted in the district. So it's not going to have any impact on what the neighboring properties can do on their parcels. The conditional use, its exterior architectural design and functional plan of any proposed structure will not be injurious to the use of other properties in the immediate vicinity, nor substantially diminish or impair property values within the surrounding neighborhood. Again, we didn't really find any justification for that. Four is adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, or necessary facilities have been or are being provided, yes. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress. So not to minimize traffic congestion. Yep, it's not going to have any impact with that. Adequate parking facilities are provided, in that it shall conform to all other aspects of the municipal code. So just looking at the CUP requirements, there really wasn't anything that seemed to apply to prohibit it. But yeah.
The only thing that looked like it could potentially would be the architectural style, exterior architectural design, which is the reason for the first condition.
The setback will go from 29 to 23 ish.
I think it's going to be 23 and a half. Because he's at 29 and a half, so it's going to be at 23 and a half.
So if and when this is built, what would the measured setback be? Would it be to the front of the roof or would it be to the wall?
To the front,
More,
the closest to the street.
so the roof.
Yeah,
Okay.
or the column.
Because it'll be like a 1-inch overhang or something.
Okay.
But usually it's not on the
So
front,
then it
so.
does affect what the front yard setback would then be for,
Yeah,
it would change that,
okay.
that averaging.
But not
It would
by
change the
much.
average?
Mhm.
Okay.
And it likely would not, because it would fall out of the excluded area of the greater Lakewood, less than 10%. Probably
Or it'd be a
wouldn't
minimal
affect the
change
average.
above that. If you take the averaging of the whole block, it's a
Yeah.
long block. It would be pretty
It's more of
minimal.
them.
But it's gonna it's gonna cause a,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit of a difference.
I'll make a motion to approve with staff's conditions.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Rubinski, second by Alder Hutchinson. Any further discussion? All right, we'll go ahead with the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then that'll move forward to City Council for July 30th. And moving on to item number 5, which is a public hearing. This public hearing has been properly posted and public notification has been published in the Press Gazette. The Plan Commission is interested in hearing public comments on the subject agenda items, and we invite your comments and ask that after your name has been called, you state your address, whether you represent a group or association, whether you favor, propose, or only providing information in this matter, and your comments or concerns. We also ask that you confine your testimony to facts related to the proposal at hand and avoid repetitive testimony. City staff will provide a presentation during the public hearing, and questions raised by the public may be asked, but they will not be answered by staff until the upcoming actionable item. You must be recognized by the Plan Commission in order to speak, and please address your comments to the chair. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and we will now open the public hearing on item number 5. Public hearing on a request to establish a planned unit development for the Grandview Industrial Park on property located at the 900 block of Erie Road. Petition submitted by the City of Green Bay property owner.
Sure. So the property that we're looking here is across the way from Nature's Way, and Mason starts making his turn to where it became Finger, and is on the, it's sandwiched right now between the I-43 Business Park and the existing Grandview Industrial Park. So in the next slide, you're going to see the future land use, and that calls for business park within this area. Keep in mind, business park, it's a category that allows for, promotes office buildings, office showrooms, and light industrial buildings in a landscape campus setting. So the PUD that's being requested is in line with the comprehensive plan. In the next slide, you'll see the existing zoning. And so to the west, you'll see the I-40 Business Park PUD. And on this property right now, it's still zoned rural residential. In the future slide here, next slide, you'll see what was described back in 2022 when this body first took up the Grandview Industrial Park, phase one, if you will. The original 50.2 acres that are back off towards the east where Carnivore is at. And there was a CUP request back early this year for some other industrial use back over to the east. So in that plan, it called for the first phase being the 50.2 acres, trying to find future industrial park phases. And this 35.2 acres is part of that future phasing for the area. So next. You'll see in this map what's highlighted for parcel 21-199. That's the parcel itself. Doesn't take up quite the whole 40 because there's a corner of the property, or sorry, of that 40 acres that is still owned by a single property owner, but the city acquired this property over this year with the intent of looking to expand to what the PUD, the original PUD had stated, to expand further out here. But why I look at this now is a separate part of that original PUD was 50.2 acres. This is not connected to it, so we're asking for essentially a phase two of what was approved before. So in the PUD next, we are keeping in mind the existing language that was approved back in 2022, and then adding in the amendments. There was a sign package amendment that was put in fall of 2023, adding that to the overall package as well. And you'll note that the property has frontage on both Mason and has frontage on Erie. So those are both arterial roads. So if somebody were to come forth in the future and ask for some of the usage that is noted in the PUD, that would go towards arterial roads, and that frontage was on either Mason or Erie, those uses to be done in that area as well. The property could stay as one large parcel, or it could be split up in the future. Don't know at this time.
All right, so we're looking to hear from anyone who would like to speak on this item. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Is there anyone wishing to speak? Let the record reflect that no one came forward and this public hearing is now closed. Moving on to the corresponding actionable item, item number 6. Consideration with possible action on a request to establish a planned unit development for the Grandview Industrial Park on property located at the 900 block of Erie Road. Petition submitted by the City of Green Bay property owner.
Thank you, Chair. So to note, we did receive some feedback from the public. We received some comments from Mr. Boucher, who's a property owner within 400 feet to the south, was in favor of the project. And Nature's Way also called, just curious what was up with the petition, but didn't have any comments, just some general questions. Other than that, the PUD itself, it's essentially for all intents and purposes some additional language, noting that this is an additional area to the original PUD, added in said sign amendments language, but otherwise is the same PUD language that was approved by this board back in, by the Common Council back in 2022.
All right, thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Urbanski, second by Commissioner Daniels. Any further discussion?
I have a question. Could you elaborate a little bit on that little area that's excluded from this, that's right at the corner?
Right, so that's a different parcel that the city does not have any control over right now. So because the city doesn't have any control, it's not added into this PUD itself.
And is the city in process of purchasing that, or is that going to be an outlier?
If the city, I think if that was available for purchase, the city would try to pursue that.
Oh,
but
I see.
It's not available right now.
That for to acquire that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? All right, motion by Commissioner Vinsky, second by Commissioner Daniels. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and then that will go forward then for City Council for July 30th. Moving on to item number 7, which is a public hearing. This public hearing has been properly posted and public notification has been published in the Press Gazette. The Planning Commission is interested in hearing public comments on the subject agenda items. We invite your comments and ask that after your name has been called, you state your address, whether you represent a group or association, and whether you favor, oppose, or only providing information. We also ask that you confine your testimony to facts related to the proposal at hand and avoid repetitive testimony. City staff will provide a presentation during the public hearing, and questions raised by the public may be asked, but they will not be answered by the staff until the upcoming actionable item. You must be recognized by the Planning Commission in order to speak, and please address your comments to the chair. We'll now open the public hearing on item number 7. Public hearing on a request for a conditional use permit to develop a 2-family residential use in the low-density residential district at 814 South Ashland Avenue, submitted by Erica Hernandez Martinez, property owner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this property is located right as you're heading south to go over the Ashland Street Bridge in that old railroad area. So it's the last house before you go over the bridge. The area has a variety of different uses. So the property is has a future land use of low-density residential, high and medium to the east, and public institutional behind with the school as well as the park. For zoning, the zoning is low-density residential, and then to the east it is medium, what is that? I can't see. Medium density residential, thank you. And then the park and school to the west. When we review 2 families, we do kind of look to see what is within 300 feet to see if there's other duplexes in the area or other multifamily, so we don't get an over concentration of them. So the items that are shown in orange are currently either 2-family or multifamily. Again, the zoning on the east side is medium to high density, or medium density. So that type of use is typical over there. This property was previously a 2-family home, and then somebody converted it to a single family. And now the request is to put it back to a 2-family. So it's gone through a few different changes, and because we don't know how long it was a single family, we're just going forward with the conditional use permit to make sure that it does comply. And then when we look at another issue that we look at with 2-family dwellings is parking. The parking does comply with the standards, but when we look at the conditional use permit requirements, they are supposed to provide adequate parking facilities. Right now, those are not being provided, and we would like to see those be included as part of the condition for approval. But we felt that everything else with the conditional use permit did comply. And that is all that I have. Oh, and then, sorry, yep, go ahead. And then this is just kind of a floor plan that shows the first floor and the second floor. Both come in through the front, can use the front door to enter. And that is kind of one of the conditions of a conditional use permit when it comes to the duplex, is that at least one home has to use a front door. That's all that I have.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so now with this public hearing, we're looking to hear from anyone who would like to speak on this item. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item? Is anyone online that would want to speak on this? I see a familiar name. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item? Okay, let the record reflect that no one came forward and this public hearing is now closed. Moving on to the corresponding actionable item, item number 8. Consideration with possible action on request for a conditional use permit to develop a two-family residential use in the low-density residential district at 814 South Ashland Avenue, submitted by Erica Hernandez Martinez, property owner.
Our recommendation is to approve with the condition that the correct parking be provided. For this particular site, they do need to provide 2 enclosed parking spaces and 2 non-enclosed parking spaces. They can provide more if possible, but they at least need to provide the minimum. We did notify people, property owners within 200 feet and the Alder, and we heard nothing back. So our recommendation is to approve with to install, with the condition that they install off-street parking for two-family residential use that is in compliance with the Green Bay Municipal Code and compliance with all other regulations of the Green Bay Municipal Code.
So that's interesting. So it's 2 parking spots per apartment, but I didn't realize that they needed to have 1 enclosed and 1 not.
Well, they can have more enclosed if they want.
Right, you could have more open too if you wanted to, but.
Yeah,
Right.
but they at least have to have 2 enclosed, and it follows the same, it's the same rule for a 1 and a 2 family. So 1 family, that same rule applies as
Okay.
well. You have to provide at least 1 enclosed stall.
Okay.
For the not enclosed, is that paved parking?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
that's.
So that would get into the impervious surface coverage too, would be something that we would keep an eye on, as well as the gravel.
So we're looking at cement and then a garage basically, or.
Blacktop, yep. But that would be all taken care of as far as, they have to still comply with all other aspects. of
Right,
our
right, we're just
code.
talking about the
Yep.
conditions that you're putting on.
Yeah,
I was curious, you said that both units use the front door?
yep, they do both have access to the front door. There is a back door too.
Because it was a single family that was split apart, it'd be different if it was built as a. But I'm guessing.
There's different entrances, I'm sure, once you walk in the building.
Yeah.
It's just a hallway and then you can go up or.
Probably up to the stairs or in a door on the first level, something like that.
It's right here.
Oh, yeah, look at.
So the first floor
Okay.
entry is here, and then a flight of stairs up to the second floor.
Okay.
So that's a secondary entrance for
Yeah,
secondary
so-
Yep,
entrances?
so you walk in that front door and you go up the stairs to get to the second floor. But if you go into that door, you're getting to the first floor apartment.
Yeah, so if you're on the second floor, you have to go in the front door.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, it'll go through site plan and they'll have to go through all the compliance and be, I mean, so it'll be
Yeah.
done right.
Yeah.
I mean,
They have to be.
well, right, but no, I'm saying, there were a lot of apartments that weren't.
Right, and that's my question, like,
Kind of
how
one
do how do
room, I
2
think.
different families enter the same door? But I didn't.
Motion to approve with staff condition.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Ravinsky, a second by Commissioner Fullwilder. Any further discussion? All right, we'll go ahead with the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and then that will go forward through to City Council for July 30th. All right, and then 9 and 10 were removed from the agenda. Moving on to item number 11, which is a public hearing. This public hearing has been properly posted and public notification has been published in the Press Gazette. The Plan Commission is interested in hearing public comments on the subject agenda items, and we invite your comments and ask that after your name has been called, you state your address, whether you represent a group or association, and whether you favor, oppose, or are only providing information. We ask that you confine your testimony to facts related to the proposal at hand and avoid repetitive testimony. City staff will provide a presentation during the public hearing, and questions raised by the public may be asked, but they will not be answered by staff until the upcoming actionable item. You must be recognized by the planning commission in order to speak, and please address your comments to the chair. We will now open the public hearing on item number 11, public hearing on a request to amend the Smart Growth 2022 Comprehensive Plan for the northern side of the 1200 block of Parrott Street from medium to high-density residential to low-density residential, submitted by the Department of Community and Economic Development.
Thank you, Chair. This is on the city's northeast side. As you can see, some markers here, Webster Avenue, Radisson, and then Parrott goes here, dead ending here, and then continuing on again across the street. For the most part, this is a very low density, quite a quiet neighborhood on a dead end road. So we're looking for two separate actions here. The first is going to be a comprehensive plan amendment. Our current comprehensive plan is showing this as that medium high density housing. That's pretty typical when we're looking against a commercial or an industrial area and then having single family low density on one side. We try to do something in between to bridge that gap. Same is reflected here with the zoning, which will be the next action item that we have, is to update the zoning here, showing the low density to the south side of Parrott, going to R3 on the north side, which is the subject area, and then you can see the commercial and industrial zoning on the north side of that. So again, acting more as a buffer than anything. In looking at this neighborhood, you can see though, almost all of this is used for single family. There's 1 2-family property along this roadway. There's a bunch of vacant parcels in the middle, and then at the end of the roadway, it's all single family homes. So looking at all the subject parcels, there are 8 in total. These are already used as single family homes. These are 3 lots are vacant, or 4 lots are vacant and platted for single family homes. And then this is a 2-family here. So again, with the commercial, all of this is single or 2-family along this side of Parrott. So it definitely has that feeling of being part of a single family neighborhood. Additionally, while we do tend to use those higher density residentials as good buffers between commercial areas, this kind of has its own buffer built in. There's a small hill that exists along the back of these properties, along with some pretty mature landscaping. So driving down this road, I didn't even feel that there was any sort of industrial or commercial uses nearby. Additionally, while this is zoned industrial on the northern part of these parcels, this has a current office use. This is a parking lot. Even if you combine all these lots together, which they have different owners, it wouldn't be a substantial sized lot in order to do heavy industrial work. So I could see in the future this having a zoning change of its own to be more commercial in nature. But at the existing uses of office and vacant land, it doesn't have any negative effects on the residential to the south here. So it'll probably be a very similar spiel for the next zoning request action, but so far that's what we have for the comprehensive plan.
All right, thank you very much. So now we're looking to hear from anyone who would like to speak on this item. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Is there anyone wishing to speak? Let the record reflect that no one came forward, and this public hearing is now closed. Moving on to the corresponding actionable item, item number 12. Consideration with possible action on a request to amend the Smart Growth 2022 Comprehensive Plan for the northern side of the 1200 block of Parrott Street from medium to high-density residential to low-density residential, submitted by the Department of Community and Economic Development.
Thank you. We are recommending approval of this comprehensive plan amendment to then coincide with the zoning action and rezoning that's coming up for the next item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Vinsky, second by Alder Hutchinson. Any further discussion? Go ahead with the voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then that will move forward to City Council for July 30th. Moving on to item number 13, which is a public hearing. And this public hearing has been properly posted and public notification has been published in the Press Gazette. The Plan Commission is interested in hearing public comments on the subject agenda items. We invite your comments and ask that after your name has been called, you state your address, whether you represent a group or association, and whether you favor, oppose, or only providing information. We also ask that you confine your testimony to facts related to the proposal at hand and avoid repetitive testimony. City staff will provide a presentation during the public hearing, and questions raised by the public may be asked but will not be answered by staff until the upcoming actionable item. You must be recognized by the Planning Commission in order to speak, and please address your comments to the chair. We'll now open the public hearing on item number 13, public hearing on a request to rezone the northern side of the 1200 block of Parrott Street from R3 Very Density Residential District to R1 Low Density Residential District, submitted by Community and Economic Development.
Thank you, Chair. So same spiel as before. We are looking at these 8 lots to be rezoned from that R3 to the R1 now that the comprehensive plan has been amended. This will have no impact on the existing housing. This will actually bring them further into compliance as the single-family housing is meant for the R1 district. So this will benefit the property owners that already have properties there, and then it will allow for single-family or low-density developments to occur with the vacant parcels that are there. So I'm recommending nothing, so this is a public hearing.
Excellent,
We have that
yes.
every time.
All right, so now we're looking to hear from anyone who wants to speak on this item. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Is there anyone wishing to speak? Let the record reflect that no one came forward and this public hearing is now closed. Moving on to item number 14, consideration with possible action on a request to rezone the northern side of the 1200 block of Parrott Street from R3 Very Density Residential District to R1 Low Density Residential District, submitted by Community and Economic Development.
Thank you. We are recommending approval of the request.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Rubinski, second by Commissioner Daniels. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, go ahead with the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving forward to City Council for July 30th. 15 and 16 were removed from the agenda, so moving on to item number 17, which is not a public hearing. Exciting. Consideration with possible action on a request to vacate a 5-foot by 58.68 foot strip of unimproved right-of-way located at the intersection of Tilkins and Tomark Streets, submitted by Richard Zolke and Heather Karts of Greenback Towers LLC, property owners.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a fun little right-of-way we have on our hands here. So the area in red on your screen is that strip. It's approximately 5 feet by 58.68 feet deep. Around it is a variety of uses. If you want to go to the next screen. So we've got for future land use, it's located within commercial. Across the street on West Mason is Franklin Middle School. And then there is residential, single family to the south. And then high density to an office to, what is that? Yeah, sorry, high density office to the west. For current zoning, look at that fun spite strip that's on there. I was like, oh no, and I saw that pop up. So this current property has 2 zonings that go on it. So, but the northern piece of is, I don't know why that's R2. Is that what I'm showing?
This is OR.
Oh, it's, see, I can't, okay, sorry. Let's do
You
this.
do need to sit close to the computer.
Let's put my glasses on, okay. That doesn't make any sense, okay. So it's zoned OR office, and it is an office currently. And then to the west is Wisconsin Bell property, so it's a utility. And then there's other commercial to the east, and then the neighborhood to low density to the south. So this is what this little strip looks like on the Franklin subdivision plat. This plat dates back to 1955. And what we believe the purpose and intent was of the strip, even though it's not indicated on here, we do feel that it was for sidewalk purposes. Elsewhere on this plat, further south, there is a walkway sidewalk that kind of splits that neighborhood in half. John said he used to take it to school all the time. So if you go to the next slide, this is kind of how it looks via the air photo, just closer, zoomed in instead of being so far away. And then with the next slide, this is looking at the back of the property. You can see the pathway. There is a path now, a sidewalk, but that's actually located all on Wisconsin Bell's property. So that sidewalk never did get installed, or whatever purpose it could have been used for. There's currently a tree that's kind of in the way of it. And the owners of the business of Richard Zuki and Heather Karch of Greenback Towers, they're requesting to vacate this right of way so that they can improve the fence. You can kind of see the condition of the fence, and when they went into Department of Public Works to get a permit, they were denied. So that's why we're here, so they can make those improvements. As part of the request, when it comes to street vacations, we do send out a memo to a variety of different agencies. So Department of Public Works, Wisconsin Public Service, AT&T, the Green Bay Water Utility, Fire Department, Police Department, Cable, Parks Department, ATC, New Water, Charter, and the public schools. So we did hear back from some of those folks. When the report was written, everybody that got back to us had no comments, no issues with it. But then I wanted to follow up today with AT&T, because you see that there is that pedestal box there, and it does appear to be for phone. It says Ameritech on it. And so I reached out to them, and they said that initially they denied it or wouldn't want to support it because of the box, but then I asked if they'd be okay with an easement, and they said yes, an easement would work just great, and that's typically what they do anyway. So we recommend approval of this, and we do want to see that entire vacated strip to go to that property, which is 1272 Tilkins. When we did some research, it dates back to 1888 plats for the tank plats, and that's all on that lot 26. So we felt it should go back to lot 26. But then we do have a condition, kind of going off what AT&T stated, is that if there's utilities located within the vacated right-of-way, they shall be protected with an easement. So, I think I covered everything. I guess as far as next steps go, we will, with the resolution, we do have to supply a legal description. We don't have that quite yet. The city's in the process of hiring a contractor to help with that. The person in DPW had retired, and they haven't been able to refill that position, so we're hiring out for that. So once that contract gets in place, we can get that legal description and try to figure out any easements that are on that property. So we'll hopefully have that in time for final action on this item, which isn't scheduled to happen until September 17th. But staff has found that vacating the strip to be in the public's interest, and we do recommend approval, as I mentioned, with the condition.
Well, it looks like it's already fenced in their area, and they've been caring for it for the length of time that they've probably owned it, and
It's been there a long
there's a
time.
big tree that's trying to take that fence down. Okay.
Looks like it's working a little bit.
Motion to
Okay.
approve with staff conditions.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Vinsky, second by Alder Hutchinson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead with the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and then, but the first reading will go through for July 30th at City Council.
Correct, there's a wait time in between the two council meetings on vacation.
Gotcha, okay.
And it has it's a class 3 public hearing notice, so it goes in the paper 3 times as well.
All right, moving on to item number 18. Consideration with possible action on a request to vacate a portion of right-of-way located at the southwest corner of Northland Avenue and North Adams Street, submitted by Rick Fisher on behalf of Spring Lake Church.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So this is another vacation. It is an area that's about 36.5 feet by 53 feet approximately. I did round it, so it was approximate. The report, they're exact. But it's 1,929 square feet of area. And so I'll just kind of go off the map here. So we're all familiar with downtown, it's just a few blocks away. That is the Bay Lake City Center condominium building. And and this little corner, which is highlighted in red, is actually city public right-of-way. Not exactly sure why.
There was a loading dock for the Boston store back there back in the day.
Still's a loading dock there.
Right.
But so sometime in the 80s, that was dedicated as right-of-way, and it has remained right-of-way ever since, although it has been privately used. What is making this vacation request significant at this time is, if you remember about a month or so back, the parking lot to the south in that area is being redeveloped, is going to be sold by the redevelopment authority to redevelop the building. Spring Lake Church, who is a tenant on the first floor of this building, has all of their entrances and everything facing the south, and if you remember those conversations. So the city and the RDA is working with Spring Lake Church to relocate their entrance to the Adams Street side, but there is a lot of concern that there is no handicap accessible parking, and they have, well, almost all businesses want to have at least some stalls close to their entry, and the church itself has a congregation that has some elderly and disabled. So what they are looking really to do is vacate this portion of right-of-way to develop a parking lot along the Adams Street side. And if you want to go to the next slide, just a couple pictures. So, a couple aerial shots looking at it, but when you look up at the street views, you can see it is still a loading dock area. It's operated as a loading dock area from Northland Avenue. It's got a wall, so you can't even see into it. If you want to go to the next slide. Not that this is super important, but purple is downtown zoning, is downtown land use, and the brown is downtown 2 zoning, which is our highest district. If you want to cruise down to the next one. So again, this is a conceptual plan. It's not in for site plan review or anything like that, but sort of the area, you can see the vacated area up on the top, and you can see it on the plan to the right. So what they're looking to do is really to build a very small parking lot, a 4 or 5 stall parking lot there, but more importantly, to create a one-way going south drive aisle with some angled parking along the building facade, and most of that would be handicapped. And then also on the far south facade, which used to be the drive-through of a former bank, that's going to become their main entrance into the church area. I'm not sure if it goes directly into the chapel or not, but goes into the church area, and so they would have a drop-off area and then sort of a stacking drop-off area. So you could enter from the north, come down to the south, and then you could exit out one of those 2 ways, or you could come in straight on the south side, drop off, and then exit back out and go to the Pine Street ramp, Cherry ramp, or wherever. But really, it's being facilitated due to that public parking lot that they kind of have relied on since they've existed going away. So that is the request for the vacation. As Dina had mentioned, we send this out to multiple reviewing agencies. We have not received all the comments back yet, but we haven't gotten any objections either. So we are recommending approval of the vacation request, and that entire parcel be deeded over to the Bay Lake City Center parcel where it would come from. It's right away on all other sides. But one condition that we would add is that utilities or other reviewing agency interests located within the vacated right-of-way shall be protected through easements. So if they do come back before this goes through, the 2-month process that it gets through council, that there would be some type of easements under there. We don't know of any, and there's no indication that there are any, but we have to wait for those agencies to reply. And I unfortunately got my review memo well late, so it'll be after the planning commission. And I do believe the petitioner is online if you would like to ask him how they'll start.
So, I mean,
Questions?
how do you guys feel as far as that being a pretty fair compromise for finding them a new front doorway and getting some parking for handicap? Because, I mean, the ramp is right there, although that little ramp is near the end, but
Right.
still for handicapped or...
From my personal opinion, it's a nice way to get some handicap accessible parking close to that building. I'm not a big fan of having parking in between a building and a street right of way, especially downtown. But in this instance, it's not a large area, it's not a lot of parking spaces. We notified all the neighboring property owners. We haven't heard any objections from Schreiber or the Northland or the Republic. And the Department of Public Works is, even though it's a conceptual plan, they're okay with how that's laid out.
I think either way, vacating that is the right call because the city then doesn't have interest in it.
Right, that's true,
Liability.
that's
Right.
true.
And I think that is the biggest point to make, is that we're not sure why we still have that. Nobody really wants it. It's almost like the Tilkins one. It's unnecessary.
Oh, goodness.
It just had never been vacated over the years, and it's just been operated privately, even though it's public. They've been maintaining it, they've been plowing it.
Well, back when Fort Plaza was there, it was just that little roundabout was right there, right
Right.
next to that, so.
Yeah.
So is it a one-way, you come down Northland and you turn onto Adams and you can go in right there, there'll be parking and you can go back up? So it'd be a one-way, wasn't it?
It would be a one-way going south.
Going, yeah.
Correct. If they're in their lot. Again, this is conceptual, so it's not finalized. But yeah, you could enter into the north and park in one of the parking spots and exit back out, or you could come into the drop-off area or any of those stalls, which,
Yeah.
So because that is a huge it's a really wide sidewalk over there, so that's what, there's parking in between and then there's still a sidewalk on the, okay.
correct, yeah, the public sidewalk and the tree bed and everything like that will remain as it is. That won't be affected. It would really just sort of be that plaza that you can kind of, I
That
guess if you go
drop-off
to
area,
aerials, you can
that's
kind of see that.
Yeah, and then where the teller things are would be kind of the entrance. to
That'll be the main entrance.
Yeah, so you
Conceptually.
kind of see the plaza that's in front of the building, and there's a green space there in between that. It has a couple benches, but other than that, it's really not used.
Interesting.
Correct. Yeah, and if you're not aware, the second floor is converting over to apartments right now.
With
So some of that might even be more important to have that handicap
And that
close
accessible
to
parking.
Yeah.
close to the church.
Would the parking be for only them or be?
It'll be for anyone who's got a,
Well, it would be vacated to the parcel, and that is controlled by a condo association, so they'll have to amend their covenants, but that's all a private agreement on who can use what parking. I think there's 5 users in that building, or 5 owners in that building right now as condo owners, and it's a private agreement between themselves on how they
Public parking.
divvy everything up.
Unless you're having, yeah. I mean,
well, but even if you have a placard for that, if you're not there for that purpose, they could, I mean, I guess it depends on the
it's
property
hard
owner.
to manage it.
Yeah,
Okay.
right, they would have to figure it out, right.
Okay.
And they would have to figure it out.
They would have to figure it out,
Private
yeah.
matter.
Between the church and
Right.
between
And
all 5
whoever-
owners in that
right.
building?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to,
No, go ahead, answer.
I was just going to say, on the record, I am a member of Spring Lake Church.
Oh.
So, we don't
Are you
do that.
abstaining, or this one?
We don't do
It won't
that.
affect me.
That's a
It won't
cat.
affect my-
Everyone does that.
No, that's a cat.
I'm not either, but I just,
Oh, my goodness.
you can never be
Okay.
too blessed, so.
All right.
So with that, though, I'll make a motion to approve that staff condition.
Okay.
I second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Vinsky, and a second by Commissioner Daniels. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead with the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and then that will move forward for City Council for July 30th. Moving on to informational director's report.
So I apologize, this didn't make it into the packet. It's just our monthly development tracker spreadsheet.
They're not accepted.
Probably.
I was like, was it me?
So small.
So you probably did something.
Yeah, it's nicer on the computer.
Okay,
right?
just
You can zoom
be
in.
just be bigger.
Nothing, major to report on today. I will say that, we've got a few requests for proposals out right now, RFPs for development on RDA-owned sites. So number 5 and 6 are a couple of them. So hopefully before too long, there might be some action before this body to review a development proposal there. But we're kind of in the process with that one.
I'm surprised you had nothing on 6.
Nothing on 6.
Nothing on 6.
We have a request for proposals out on that one right now.
That's what you
So
just
we will have
We
something
were just
there.
talking about it.
I know, but
You just
We did have a development proposed there. We worked with them for
I know.
a number of years, and unfortunately, it didn't.
I'm just surprised because it's such a nice site right now.
It's a great site, yeah. Development's really difficult right now. but
Give them more money.
We're doing our best. We're doing our best. On that note, our department is really busy right now. Now is the time of the year where we're creating TIF districts.
Shower and Schumacher.
Yeah, John Schumacher, we've got a planning option on that right now, so.
Multifamily housing.
Yep, that's being considered. It's still in the early planning phases, so. We've been in this situation quite a few times before. We're always crossing our fingers, hoping that something real will move forward there.
If I win the lottery, I want to buy that. Just live there.
You don't even have to buy it.
Oh, really? You'll just give it to me and let me fix it? Let me fix it? Right.
Guarantee you will fix it.
Shoot. And have all the inspectors on you again?
Sure you would. And us too.
David, did you have anything you wanted to share as far as comp plan is concerned, or any other
16.
updates?
Yeah, so our
Right on
comp,
Adams.
our comp plan effort, and Darius is a little more involved with that, but comp plan effort is still moving forward. We went through about a dozen outreach events the last couple months, including all the farmers markets. Well, I won't go through all of them. We are just starting up, it'll be at the end of July, July 31st, as a matter of fact, starting our district meeting. So the city is divided up into 10, what we call neighborhood planning districts, and we'll have a meeting in each one of those districts. The consultants are then going to take all that information. They're coming up right now with a vision for the city and some overreaching goals and objectives that they've heard through all our comments. And to give you some idea of how many we've been receiving, so we've received over 500 surveys, about 1,000 comments from our outreach, over 120, 130 points on the map. So it's pretty extensive. We are really reaching out as much as possible. Visioning session had about 50 people, did 30 stakeholder interviews approximately, it was 27. Council and the advisory group both had workshops. We'll be doing, with the new council members, if we can get them in, we'll be doing a workshop of their own as well on the 7th. Next advisory group is on the 7th of August. End of August, we'll be done with all our district meetings, and then it'll be the consultants start drafting and the advisory group start seeing actual text and things to start looking at that way. So probably after August, we're halfway through, public input section's done, except for when the plan's drafted. So we're chugging right along.
And if anyone's interested in volunteering their time for one of our
Yes.
night meetings, please let me know.
You should hit me with the, and,
I'll send out the
But, yeah,
dates, so you guys
Right.
can respond to that.
And they are on everything is on our website. There's also a pretty nice little snazzy mapping program. You type in your address, it'll tell you what neighborhood planning district you're in, where your meeting's at, what day it is. So that's pretty cool. It is snazzy. Mary put it, one of our staffers put that together, and it's very good.
So I do have a question. Where the heck is 0 Richmond Street?
Is that?
Item number 26?
26.
With the 14
Oh, yeah.
detached homes and townhomes?
Yeah, we put
It's
that
the
last
Habitat
year.
for Humanity.
But where's Richmond Street? 0 Richmond Street? Or is it, it's...
Zero means it just doesn't have an address yet.
Oh,
So-
oh, it doesn't, okay, got
So,
it.
it will one day.
Okay.
Technically no zero,
Probably
there
11.
really no
Yeah.
zeros.
Well, I didn't know, I'm not familiar with Richmond Street either, so I'm
Oh, it's a residential one
Badger?
right behind Manitowoc Road on the east side.
Yeah, it's all, it's pretty much all singles and
Over there.
two.
It's at the west.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
It's on Bader.
Okay. All right, okay, that was my.
But that one is exciting, the road should be in this year. I think the houses are gonna be going up early next.
Yeah, 14 units, it looks like, single family and townhomes.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very
It's-
exciting.
2.9 million.
Sign is gorgeous.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's nice.
It's
Cool.
gonna improve that neighborhood a lot.
All
The
right.
curbs are in.
The curbs are in.
All right, so that's director's report, and the date of the next meeting is August 12th of 2024.
Motion to adjourn?
Wait, that's a second? Okay, a motion by Commissioner Daniels, second by Commissioner Revesky to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, good evening.
I would have thought